The twin sons of Karath 7 beat down mercilessly on the crimson desert, turning the sand into a shimmering ocean of heat. Grace wiped the sweat from her brow, squinting at the disabled transport vessel half buried in a dune. 3 days ago, her crew had abandoned her here, stolen her share of the salvage, and left her with nothing but a broken water recycler and enough rations for maybe 2 more days. Typical, she muttered, kicking at the sand. 5 years as the best damn mechanic in the outer colonies, and this was her reward. A sound caught her attention, a low, keening wail that didn't belong to the wind. Grace's hand instinctively moved to the plasma cutter at her belt. The desert of Karath 7 was supposed to be empty, lifeless. That's why the salvage crews came here. The cry came again, weaker this time. Against her better judgment, Grace followed the sound. She crested a dune and stopped dead in her tracks. In the valley below, a sleek alien vessel lay crumpled like discarded foil. But it wasn't the ship that made her breath catch. It was the creatures beside it. 2 of them, each no larger than a house cat, with iridescent scales that shifted from deep purple to midnight blue. Their wings, translucent and veined with gold, were folded against their bodies. One of them raised its head weakly, and Grace saw the intelligence in those ancient reptilian eyes. "Dragons," she whispered. She'd heard the stories, of course. The Draconians of the Azura Imperium, an alien species that resembled Earth's mythological dragons, revered across 1,000 worlds as warriors, scholars, and nobility. But these were infants, hatchlings abandoned in the desert just like her. The stronger of the 2 made a chirping sound, almost like a question. Grace approached slowly, hands raised. "Easy there, little ones. I'm not going to hurt you." As she drew closer, she noticed the insignia on the crashed vessel, the triple crown of House Azura. These weren't just any draconian hatchlings. These were royalty. The weaker hatchling, its scales dulling from dehydration, collapsed. Grace didn't hesitate. She scooped both creatures into her arms, surprised by how light they were, and ran back to her camp. For the next 6 hours, Grace worked with the focused intensity that had made her reputation. She jury-rigged her water recycler, sacrificing her own hydration to create a misting system for the hatchlings. She broke down protein bars into a paste that they could lap up. The stronger one, she decided to call it Ezra based on the nameplate she found on a collar around its neck, watched her every move with keen intelligence. "Your brother's not doing well," Grace told Ezra, checking the second hatchling's vital signs with her medical scanner. "He's got some kind of toxin in his system, probably from the crash." Ezra chirped urgently, nudging Grace's hand toward a small satchel that had fallen from the ship. Inside, she found vials of medicine, their labels in draconian script she couldn't read. "You want me to give him one of these?" Grace asked. "I don't know which one, buddy. I could make things worse." Ezra carefully, so carefully, used one tiny claw to tap a specific vial. Grace held it up to the light. "You better be right about this." She administered the medicine. For a terrifying moment, nothing happened. Then the second hatchling's breathing steadied and color began returning to his scales. "Thank God," Grace breathed. "Or thank whatever gods you dragon princes pray to." Over the next 2 days, Grace nursed both hatchlings back to health, sharing her dwindling resources without hesitation. She told them stories about Earth, about oceans and forests, about the human colony she'd grown up on before the corporation wars had destroyed it. Ezra listened with rapt attention while his brother, she learned his name was Taith from another collar inscription, grew stronger with each passing hour. On the 3rd day, the sky filled with ships. The Azuran Imperial fleet descended like a swarm of metal birds, their weapons hot and ready. Grace stood protectively in front of the hatchlings as an enormous war dragon landed before her. Its rider dismounting with fluid grace, the alien prince, for he could be nothing else, with those elaborate crests and that bearing, approached with his hand on his weapon. His eyes, the same ancient gold as the hatchlings, swept over the scene, the human mechanic, sunburned and exhausted, standing between him and his children. "You dare," he began in perfect standard. Ezra launched himself forward with a joyful cry, tackling his father's leg. Taith followed, both hatchlings chirping excitedly and nudging the prince toward Grace. The prince's expression transformed from fury to confusion to something approaching awe. He knelt, examining his sons, then looked up at Grace with new eyes. They were poisoned, he said slowly. The crash should have killed them within hours. The desert should have finished what the saboteurs started. Grace shrugged. I'm a mechanic. I fix broken things. Your kids were broken. I fixed them. You sacrificed your own resources. Your own chance of survival. What else was I supposed to do? Let babies die in the desert? The prince stood, and Grace saw the shimmer of tears in those alien eyes. Most species in the galaxy would have done exactly that. Hatchlings of a rival house worth a fortune to my enemies. You could have sold them. Instead, you saved them. He placed a clawed hand over his chest in what Grace guessed was a formal salute. I am Prince Korath of House Azura. You have saved the heirs to the Imperium. Name your price, human. Anything in my power is yours. Grace looked at Ezra and Taith, who were climbing on her legs like she was their personal playground equipment, and smiled. I could use a ride off this rock, she said, and maybe a job. I hear the Imperial fleet always needs good mechanics. Prince Korath's laugh boomed across the desert. A ride and a job. The human who saved the dragon princes asks for a ride and a job. He shook his head in amazement. You will have a ship of your own, Grace of Earth. You will have a title. You will have the eternal gratitude of House Azura. And tacos, Grace added. I really want tacos. Real ones from Earth. And tacos, the prince agreed, still laughing, though I have no idea what those are. As the Imperial ships lifted off, carrying Grace toward a future she'd never imagined, Ezra curled up in her lap and chirped contentedly. Sometimes she thought the desert takes everything away, and sometimes, if you're lucky enough and stubborn enough to help those who need it, it gives you back something even better.